hold on, let me get it together here. My name is Luna, activist teacher, and I teach 4th grade in Florida. It's already been such a hard year having to deal with everything that Ron DeSantis makes me do, like teach math. I am currently on administrative leave, and my principal has told me that I will most likely not be returning back to the classroom. All because I celebrated the murder of a misogynistic, racist, xenophobic fascist. Just to be clear, all I did was post a video where I was dancing and saying that he got what he deserved while pouring out a beer. I was also wearing a graphic t-shirt that depicted the moment that he died. And then I said his kids are better off without him. Really not that bad. And they're taking away my rights for free speech. And to think that I had at least 7 LGBTQ plus students in my classroom, and I know they need me. This is just so unfair.
Emotional damage.
Common Sense Loonie, that's my tune. Bringing truth to the red and white moon.
Personally, I am a man.
Hello one, hello all, and welcome to another Common Sense Loonie. I'm your Loonie, Rex, talking about all the hot topics coming from Canada with just a little common sense spin. We've got a lot of stories today, so let's just jump right in. Geronimo! Okay, we're diving into a hot button issue that's got drivers across Ontario fuming. Those automated speed cameras popping up like weeds in school zones. Or are they? Premier Doug Ford is threatening to pull the plug on these so-called safety tools, calling them nothing more than a cash grab by cash-strapped cities.
The days of automated speed cameras could be coming to an end soon in Ontario. Premier Doug Ford wading into the debate over the cameras today and saying he wants them off the road. Al Sweeney is following the story for us and joins us live with the latest on this. Al.
Matt, Ford had nothing good to say today about cameras handing out speeding tickets. He says he wants the cities to get rid of them, and if the cities don't, he says his government will. The past few days have seen a rampage of attacks on the speed cameras that sit at the side of the road to monitor drivers. In Hamilton, as many as 2 were knocked down over the weekend, but they were back up today. In Toronto, police say 16 cameras were cut down or vandalized overnight. In the past year or so, cameras have been attacked throughout Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara. And the Premier is joining the opposition to the cameras.
They should take out those cameras, all of them. If you want to slow down traffic at school, you put the big, huge signs, big flashing lights, crossing area, people will slow down.
And he says the roads would be safer with more police using radar guns. He's calling on cities to remove the cameras and is threatening to do that if the cities don't.
Get rid of the speed cameras or I'm going to do it for them. That's a tax grab. All you might as well do is knock on everyone's door and say, I'm going to raise your taxes. I'm all about public safety. I'm against taxing the death out of people.
And this may be a shocker for all my regular viewers. I think Ford is right. I don't know, it doesn't happen often, but I'll give him this one. Credit where credit's due. Let's break it down. First off, we need to rewind to the 1990s. Under Premier Mike Harris, Ontario banned photo radar outright. Why? Because it was seen as an unfair tax on drivers, snapping tickets without mercy for even minor speed slips. Fast forward to 2018, and the Liberals under Kathleen Wynne sneakily amended the Highway Traffic Act with Bill 65. Letting municipalities bring them back under the guise of school safety. No big fanfare, just a quiet rollout in places like Toronto starting in 2020. Sneaky? You bet.
Starting on Monday, July the 6th, this coming Monday, the city's 50 automated speed enforcement cameras will start ticketing drivers who are caught traveling in excess of the speed limit. The days of warning letters have come to an end.
Now in 2025, these cameras are everywhere. Toronto has 75 active ones, with plans for more. Brampton's got 150 and expanding to 185. Ottawa's at 60 with plans for adding 24 more. But are they really protecting kids in school zones? Critics say no. Take Toronto's Parkside Drive camera. It's 300 to 500 meters from the nearest school on a busy through road. Or there's the Westway in Etobicoke, over a kilometer away from any schools. Even in Brampton, spots like Richville Drive stretch the school zone definition thin. And don't get me started on potential spots near Airport Road. Broad community zones that feel more like revenue traps than kid protectors.
Joining us now, Toronto City Councillor Anthony Perusa, who represents Ward 7, Humber River, Black Creek. Thanks so much for making the time to come into studio. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
The Premier has called these cash grabs. You in the past have described automated speed enforcement cameras as speed traps. Are they cash grabs?
I think many of them, the way they've been deployed, are. They give people, people who normally don't speed, don't get many tickets, are law-abiding, all of a sudden are receiving these tickets, and we're all hearing from them. I'll give you an example. I turned from Mount Pleasant onto Blythewood 2 days ago. Speed limit is 40. All of a sudden, there's a sign that says 30 and a camera. Even if you hit the brakes and the camera's right there, and you try to slow down to that 30, I don't know if I got a ticket in that instance, but unless you know that the speed limit is going to go from 40 to 30 so abruptly, it's inevitable, and you're going to get dinged, and we're not making it clear. We're not letting people know, and you get this ticket in the mail, a few weeks later, and you get very, very salty about it because you thought you did nothing wrong. And
now, on the revenue side, that's where the cash grab label sticks. These things rake in millions. Ottawa pulled in $29 million last year. Waterloo Regions, i.e. $9.8 million this year. Toronto, over $10 million. Brampton, projected at $15 million plus. And where does it go? Cities claim it's for safety, but audits show only a fraction, like 10% in Toronto, actually funds things like speed bumps. The rest, it props up bloated municipal budgets.
Does it really make our roads safer, or is it just a cash grab for governments?
There are currently 40 speed cameras in the nation's capital. They are situated near some schools and major intersections. 8 cameras earned the city $2.5 million in revenue in the latter half of 2020 when they were first installed. Since then, revenue has jumped. In 2023, the city made $11 million, and it plans to install about 20 more before the end of 2024. More cameras means more tickets, which means more revenue for the city.
Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow hiked property taxes 9.5% this year to cover a $1.8 billion shortfall. Coincidence? Hardly. So I'll say it again, and I'll say it loud. Premier Ford nailed it. He suggests big signs and flashing lights instead. Cheaper, fairer, and no sneaky fines. Public backlash is exploding. Vandalism's rampant. Toronto alone saw 800 incidents this year, including 16 cameras chainsawed down in one night. That's not random. It's drivers fed up with getting dinged $30 for going 11 kilometers per hour in zones that barely qualify as school areas. Petitions are surging too. Brampton's got over 6,600 signatures demanding removal and full revenue transparency. Folks are saying enough is enough.
I don't like them.
I hate them. I hate speed cameras.
I try to avoid it as much as possible.
These cameras violate fundamental justice, automating fines without a human touch. Sure, cities trot out studies claiming a 45% drop in speeding, but skeptics question the data. Is it really saving lives or just padding city coffers?
But is it really preventing the number of collisions? There hasn't really been any studies looking into the data set here in Ottawa, so we crunched the numbers.
We created a 1 kilometer radius of each camera location and looked at the frequency of collisions the year before the cameras were installed, the year they were installed, and the years following. As mentioned, some of the first cameras were installed in 2020, so we didn't have a lot of data to work with. According to the numbers, though, it looked like the cameras don't really reduce the number of crashes.
Not to mention, there's new scams involving these cameras.
And police are warning drivers about a new scam flooding phones across Ontario involving speed cameras. Scammers are reportedly texting motorists with fake tickets claiming they were caught by speed cameras, then urging victims to click and link and pay. Authorities say photo radar tickets only come by mail, not text or email.
Ford's right. Flashing lights or speed bumps could do the job without the gotcha factor. With elections looming in 2026, this could be a game changer. What do you think? Me? Get rid of them. All right, with Parliament back tomorrow, Pierre Poilievre has been making the rounds. He even did a contentious interview on CBC. The fact that it was contentious is no big surprise. It's CBC. However, having a conservative, especially a leader at that, on CBC, that was a surprise. Maybe they're prepping for their Travis Dowra court case, trying to prove that they don't just have left-wing nutters on their shows. Who knows? So, first things first. This week, Prime Minister Mark Carney unveiled a slate of nation-building projects to boost the economy amid U.S. trade tensions.
So we mentioned the expansion of LNG in Kitimat, British Columbia. Here are the other 4 projects. The Darlington New Nuclear Project in Clarington, Ontario. That would make Canada the first G7 country to have an operational small modular reactor. A terminal container project in Quebec that would expand the Port of Montreal's capacity by about 60%. A copper mine project in east central Saskatchewan, and rounding out the list of 5, the Red Chris mine expansion in northwest British Columbia.
But Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling it a distraction. More photo ops than actual progress. Let's break it down. On September 11th, Carney announced 5 major projects promising to inject $60 billion into the economy and create thousands of jobs. The lineup includes doubling LNG Canada's Kitimat facility, a new nuclear reactor at Ontario's Darlington site, expanding the Port of Montreal, and 2 critical mineral mines, including a copper mine in Saskatchewan. Sounds ambitious, but Poilievre, in that fiery CBC interview on the House, slammed it as recycled news.
So far, he's succeeded at setting up an office with 1 employee, and he sent a list of 5 projects that were already approved or almost approved before he got there, and now he's picking up the football in the end zone to spike it. But in reality, some of the projects that he put on his list have already been under construction. It's really incredible to see a prime minister show up and take credit for something that happened before he even got there, and then claim that it is a new achievement. But I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think he's been very good at confusing activity with achievement.
He claims these projects were already approved or underway before Carney even took office, accusing the Prime Minister of spiking the football for others' work. Poilievre's skepticism is right. Carney's project office, meant to fast-track approvals, isn't even fully staffed. Pierre points to 39 projects stalled in the federal system, arguing Carney's focus on press releases ignores real barriers. With 66,000 jobs lost in August and $62 billion investment outflow per the National Bank, Poilievre says Canada can't afford this snail's pace.
When it comes to these projects, we have 38 projects the federal government has been holding up that are in the Impact Assessment Act system already.
They're in progress right now.
They only need to get a permit to go ahead. They don't need a government grant, a government handout, a press release, a photo op. They really need one thing from Mark Carney: get out of the way and grant a permit so that private money can build private projects that actually make money for our country rather than cost the taxpayer.
He's pushing his Canadian Sovereignty Act to speed up pipelines, mines, and LNG terminals without taxpayer handouts. Carney's team, including Energy Minister Tim Hodgson, defends this plan, saying these projects need federal nudges to finish strong. But Indigenous leaders and environmental groups are skeptical, citing poor consultation and a tilt towards fossil fuels. As Parliament resumes with Carney's first budget looming, Poilievre's ready to grill him in the House. Is this a bold vision or just political theater? The debate's just heating up, and we're going to keep you covered. Now we're diving into 2 recent stories that paint a troubling picture of the housing crisis and why Prime Minister Mark Carney's latest moves feel like more talk than walk. First, let's look at those leaked internal government documents.
New data from the CMHC shows a slowdown in housing starts in some of Canada's biggest cities left the national growth rate flat in the first half of 2025. Cities like Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, and Halifax have been building new homes at a record pace so far this year. However, it was a very different story in Vancouver and Toronto, which both saw a notable slowdown in construction compared to 2024.
Briefing notes prepared for Housing Minister Gregor Robertson laid out plain. Canada's housing situation is dire. Home prices are set to spike even faster in 2025 before maybe cooling off a bit in the years after. But here's the kicker. New home construction, or housing starts, is expected to slow down. That means fewer homes being built when we desperately need more. Think about it. If you're a young family or a first-time buyer, saving for a down payment already feels impossible. In cities like Toronto or Vancouver, it can take years just to scrape together enough cash. And with supply drying up, rents are skyrocketing too, pushing more people into overcrowded or unaffordable spots. These documents warn of a full-blown crisis if nothing changes fast. Economic drag, homelessness on the rise, and a generation locked out of the dream of owning a home. Now enter Prime Minister Mark Carney. Just days ago, he stood in Ottawa announcing a shiny new federal agency called Build Canada Homes.
Build Canada Homes will reduce the upfront costs of building by offering flexible financial incentives to attract private capital.
The agency will start with a $13 billion investment and it'll use public lands. Construction will begin next year, aiming to build 4,000 homes in 6 cities, including Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Toronto and Edmonton.
He pledged $13 billion to kickstart affordable housing projects, starting with 4,000 factory-built homes in 6 cities, including Ottawa, with dreams of scaling up to 45,000. Carney talked a big game about young Canadians doing everything right, studying, working, saving, but still getting squeezed out. He said, quote, "We're in a housing crisis and it's going to take all hands on deck to get us out." Sounds inspiring, right? But let's be real here. This is Carney's government we're talking about. He's been in power for 6 months, and where's the action been? These announcements are just words on paper, no shovels in the ground, no keys handed over to families yet. We've heard promises like this before from past leaders.
The National Housing Strategy represents a once-in-a-generation $40 billion vision of how we can protect the affordability of the current affordable housing stock in Canada, build 4 times as many units as the past decade, repair 3 times as many units as the past decade, and reduce chronic homelessness by 50%. For starters, our government recognizes that housing rights are human rights.
Big bucks pledged, agencies launched, but bottlenecks at every level slow things to a crawl. Remember the Auditor General's recent report blasting delays in Ottawa? Carney's own election platform hyped doubling construction speeds. But so far, it's all talk. With prices poised to jump next year and builds slowing, a serious storm is brewing. Young people can't wait for photo ops. They need homes now. Carney needs to stop the speeches and start delivering. If not, this crisis could define his legacy as the PM who knew the warnings but didn't act fast enough. Stay tuned for more updates. Lastly, at Toronto's Christie Pitts Park, a peaceful Canada First rally against mass immigration turned chaotic due to aggressive counter-protesters.
No. You're under arrest. You're under arrest for assault. Hands behind your back.
That's a counter protester.
Sir, what happened? Sir, what happened to
press charges. I want to press charges. No, I'm pressing charges. He better go to jail tonight.
I only saw the end of that, sir. What happened to you?
He just hit me. I know.
This wasn't about hating immigrants. It's about addressing the real crisis from years of unchecked policies that have flooded Canada with over 1 million newcomers since 2023, spiking housing costs, straining healthcare, and fueling inflation, as even the Bank of Canada has noted. But instead of dialogue, typically radical leftists and Antifa types showed up in force.
Whoa! Hey!
Shouting death threats like "die fascist" and "one to the neck," obviously in reference to Charlie Kirk. They were grabbing flags, pushing participants, and inciting violence. Police had to intervene, arresting at least several from the counter-protest side for assault and public disturbance, one even before the rally began. In total, 10 arrests were made, with footage capturing these agitators being hauled away amid their own screams.
Get out of here! Hey!
This just highlights how opposition to unsustainable immigration is met with intolerance and thuggery from the far left. You know, in an era where emotions trump reason, it's telling that even immigrants joined the Canada First rally, concerned about the strain mass immigration places on their adopted home. This issue demands open debate about resources, integration, and national identity, not street brawls. Yet the left's response seems limited to violence and hate, shutting down discussion with fists and slurs rather than engaging with the very real challenges Canada faces. The left seem to always be the left. On that note, let's wrap it up. With Parliament coming back, we're going to have a lot to cover tomorrow, I'm sure. Really appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch, like, subscribe, and comment. Keep it up. Anyways, time to sign off with the usual. Stay strong, stay skeptical, and above all else, stay loony.
I'm here to cut through the haze, no disguise. Gonna open your eyes to politicians' lies. Canada's great, but led by wackos, it's true. Time for no nonsense, me and you. I'm the Common Sense Loonie, hear my call. Ditch bingo night games, we'll fix it all. Common Sense Loonie, that's my tune. Bringing truth to the red and white moon.
Personally, I am a man.